Welcome everyone to our weekly summary of the Daily Tanya. Lessons in Tanya is a great source, Chabad.org, as well as David Jerome's daily class on SoundCloud. I will hopefully share the latest link for today's class, and you can from there find the weekly daily classes, and something which I'm personally getting a lot out of, listening to David Jerome and also doing as for the 26 years of learning, using the lessons in Tanya that come nowadays through my email box. I'm actually using the Sefer as well to do this quick summary. It's a little bit late and I got to daven mincha at some point, so maybe I'll split it up into two sessions. We'll see how far we go. We got to Perek Shmini, the 8th chapter of the Tanya. This was where we were holding when we were learning last time around Shabbos. Sunday we sort of stopped because it was going on too long. So I saw also one more source that I recommend people checking out. A good friend of mine who is a student of Rav Manis Friedman, very much the last, say, 10 years, I think, or so. We grew up together in London, so we're very close. We talk in Torah all the time. His name is Rav Shmuel Diamond, and he put out a website called Bnei-Aliyah.com. So it's easy to find. You just look up Shmuel Diamond or Bnei-Aliyah.com. And he has in the resource section a very good written summary of the Tanya. Obviously, he has many other sources as well, classes, you can check it out. But I'm going to be using specifically the summary of the Tanya, the written part. And what he's done is a table of contents, quite interesting and helpful, because we have already the first three chapters are what is a Jew, according to his summary, and that's how he breaks it up. And chapter 4 to 8, where we are now, Torah and mitzvahs and the opposite. That's how he summarizes these four chapters. And then we have a beginning of the inner struggle, which we're going to see. This is important. I mean, obviously he has his own way of learning the Tanya according to Rav Manis Friedman, and he's a machadesh, a new concept. So shkoyach to him, and we're going to try now summarize the Daily Tanya together. So we were talking about the Sholosh Klipas HaTameis, the idea that Hashem always makes everything in balance, and the concept of Klipas Noga, this translucent, neutral sort of kli vessel for us to serve Hashem with, and to not get pulled down by, God forbid, doing things forbidden, and things that bind us and bring us into the forbidden aspects of the three shells of impurity, because that, as it says in the Hebrew version, that sin will make a blemish on the neshama, God forbid. It's very serious. We did mention at the end there is a hamtaka through tshuva, and being that we are now in Shovavim. Shovavim is a special gift. It gives us the chizzuk, the concept of shmos, going all the way through to shmos vayera bo b'shalach, Yisro Mishpatim, and this year Tat as well, because leap year. Truma Tetzava gives us the hope that we can go from Mitzrayim, from our restraints, from our limitations, as Daily Tanya himself talks about. Every morning we wake up in a certain state of constriction, and we have to go out of Mitzrayim into Kabbalah Satorah, into building a Mishkan, building a dwelling for Hashem in this world. That's our daily mission. And the Shachris and the Avodah that we're going to learn about, and Tanya is going to help us on a daily level, just by learning these Torahs as well. Clarify. I also want to just mention one more source. I know I've got a lot of sources today, so we haven't even started really, other than a brief summary of chapter 8. That it says in the Fabrengen section of Living Jewish. I found it very important because someone asked about the Tanya, that they really want to learn the Tanya. They know that it's so important, and it talks about the greatness of the Tanya, but I want to feel good and not hear that I'm a Rasha, which is definitely a challenge for our generation. Everyone wants to feel like they're, hearing what they want to hear about the Nekudas Teves, and we talked about the Rabbi Nachman, how important it's to focus on the Nekudas Teves in our door. But at the same time, we need to also have objective clarity, learn about the emes, and be able to look at the reality of having a Yetzer Hara in a healthy context. And that's what learning this Svarim is doing with us. That we'll understand that we're not a Rasha. The Alter Rebbe is not calling anyone a Rasha. He's helping us clarify the truth of the spiritual realms and how the soul works. He's giving us the true sort of understanding of self-awareness, the ultimate sense of the spiritual Yetzer Hara, Yetzer Tov reality, and he's not saying that we're bad, but we have both aspects. And what does this give us? Self-awareness. It prevents self-criticism. 3, humility. It creates ability to be humble. We need Hashem's help to be able to save us from the Yetzer Hara, and delight, to understand true pleasure of Torah mitzvahs. And this is the spiritual anatomy that the Tanya is providing us, and that gives us ability to reach our highest potential. And if we think we're a tzaddik already, the concept of being a Talmid Chacham is that he's always learning. So tzaddik really can be a prevention if we get stuck a certain place. So here we are at the table of contents of my friend Bnei Aliyah, is the concept of the inner struggle. We'll just round off chapter 8 while we're at it. So I think that was the Sunday. So if we eat from the Gimel Klipas Tameis, says the Tanya, it will pull us down. And we have to, there's varying levels in the quality of the minute remaining evil, deriving from one of the 4 evil elements. We mentioned these 4 evil elements, yeah? I'll just read them out from my friend's summary. Fire, earth, water, wind. But the concept that there's aspects of this creation that pull us down. And we have to understand that we have to elevate all those. The fire is arrogance and anger, water's physical desires, pleasure, air is wasting time, idle talk, scoffing, boasting, and earth, depression and laziness. So this is what we're working on fixing, and the not being pulled into this aspect of ourselves. So there's a concept of bimayat bashishim. We take something not kosher and put it in 60 parts, it gets bottle. So too, the presence of good over evil to the degree of 1 into 60. So as long as it's a smaller aspect, less than 1 of 60, then we can bottle that evil, that negative presence inside of us. Be'inyan betula miuta. This subdivision takes into account the degree which the evil that remains is nullified in the good because of its minuteness. B'shishim or derech mashul or aleph ravav kiyot. It's all the different ways of being bottle something, 1,000 or 10,000 and so on. Heinhem b'chinas tzaddikim harabim shebechol doris. This is the level of the numerous tzaddikim found in all the generation belong to incomplete tzaddik. Because the Eisa b'Gemara, the Menisa alpei tzaddikai kaima kamei kudsha b'dichi. As we find in the Gemara, 18,000 tzaddikim stand before the Holy One blessedly. Ach omalas tzaddik gomo hu sha'amar Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai v'isi b'nei Aliyah v'heim me'utim. So the other way around, the fact that there's a tzaddik of concept of, and even brings this concept of Bnei Aliyah. It's interesting hashgacha pratis that we're bringing the source, divine providence of BneiAliyah.com. So these Bnei Aliyah, Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, his son Rabbi Elazar ben Shimon, and I think there's one other from the Gemara brings. Shlekei Nekram Bnei Aliyah shehafchin ara ma'alim oiso lekadusha. The complete tzaddik are called Bnei Aliyah. Literally, men's of sin is that they convert evil and make it ascend to holiness. So these are obviously the mi'at, the minority. The Asa Bazaar. And remember, this is all from a Gemara in Sukkah. Hey, 45 Ahmed Base, and Sanhedrin also 97b. And Rabbi Chia wished to send to the Heikel of Rabbi Shimon Chai, had a voice come out and say, which of you before coming had converted the darkness of the world to light? And have transformed the bitter taste of their animal soul and even nature to sweetness. Only these may enter. That's a very, very deep concept, that we turning the darkness into light. Being about tshuva is something like hopefully we're on some level, just our mitzias of taking the treif lifestyle that we lived, we were stuck in Devarim Asurim, and using it to serve Hashem. Just in our mitzias, we're transforming darkness into light. Also, every time, personally, when I go back to Chutz La'aretz, I'm going there next Sunday, so I'm going to try somehow to do a summary of Tanya while I'm there. Maybe I'll even do it in the airport before I leave. I think that makes sense. Be Motzi Shabbos, and then I'll just upload it either on the way or once I'm in London, so hopefully by Sunday night it should be up. But the point is that this inyan of being Mila, the reality of darkness into light, changing, transforming. This is something which the big Tzaddikim and Aliyah do. So to have the chutzpah say about it, Tshuva, able to do it. But on a certain bechina, I just feel, just in reality, in my own certain life experience, that has been a certain part of my journey. And I don't know if that gives me the designation at all of being a Bnei Aliyah, but just in terms of my, ikvus de meshika, chutzpah yazge, low level, chutzpah level that I have, that on as a kedusha, the akshanas of about tshuva, that if I didn't have these midas, I wouldn't be sitting here talking about Tanya B'chlau. So there is a certain koach of transforming, and I do feel that in my journey there's been certain ibor neshamas, certain help from tzaddikim, from higher realms, giving me the koach, and obviously in the end it's all from Hashem. All the koach that we have to serve Hashem, Hashem enables us to turn around, and ultimately all the biggest darkness before Mashiach comes will be transformed to light. Bnei shegam avodas and bechinas asay tov. I mean, that divine son are doing good. Kiyam Torah mitzvah say he lasarek gavur mala lamala ad rom kol amalis. So these tzaddikim gemurim are serving Hashem in the most highest level towards the loftiest heights. All they're interested in is being attached to Hashem. They don't care about the boards or all the lower things that people can get caught up with, what their community opinion is of them, or how many likes chas shalom on social status. They're just totally turning to come davik to Hashem Yisbarach bilvad. Vivad simon nafsham asamal Hashem, and the quench the thirst of the soul which thirsts for God. Kamashikos of havikal samalachu mayim. Yeah, and we know that beautiful song from Yishai Ribo, but the idea that all the 32 ones will come and go to the waters of Torah. This is the kind of mindset that we need to have. And this is likened to Torah, the water that we're thirsty for. The Kamosh has explained this where the first ones are the best first, the first for godliness. So the Navi is proving his point, that those who thirst for godliness, whoever thirsts for Torah find available for study, while the Prophet is addressing those who thirst for Hashem, inviting to slake their thirst, their thirst for God through Torah, which binds one to God. The Bnei Aliyah, whom we'll be discussing, are beyond this level of divine. So they do not study Torah with the intention of quenching their own thirst for God. It's such a subtle sense, self-serving. So trying to get that even tiny little bit more, even though it's for Hashem, but even that tiny bit that's self-serving, and just totally do it for closeness of Hashem. The Shema. While the services to Kunizar explains that which I say is who's pious one, he's benevolent towards his creator. The benevolence towards consists of uniting the Holy One best to be with Shechina and the lowest worlds. And it says the Rei Memna in Parshat Tetzaveh, and we're going to get there, please God, as part of Shovavim Tat this year. When we get to that climax point of this special time period, the man of son exerts himself for his father and mother, who he loves more than his own nefesh, ruach, and neshama. And he sacrificed to redeem them, as explained elsewhere. And the concept is you're taking out the good in Klipas Noga. That's what the Bnei Aliyah is doing. He's converting that animal soul, the nefesh behemoth we learned about, and elevates through the Mayim Nukvim, the feminine waters, Nasim Yechudim Ilyonim Lahorid Miyain Duchrin. And he's affecting the unions in the higher realms that calls to masculine waters to descend to this world that brings the Shef Hashem Mimei Chasodim B'kol Mitzvahs V'Mitzvah Meramach Mitzvahs Asay Shekulan Heim Bechinas Chasodim B'Mayin Duchrin. And this is the waters that kind of flow into each of the 248 mitzvahs, which are all in the nature of kindness and benevolence of masculine walkers. Hanim Hamshachis Kedusha Alakus Yisbrach Malamal Alamata Islabesh B'Tachnonim Kamosh Kos B'Machem. And this draws down holiness from above, downwards, so that it can be clothed and revealed with the lowest realms to our physical world. Anyway, Hashem, we should learn in the schus of our soldiers, Baruch Yitzhak ben Masha, and all the soldiers of Am Yisrael, as well as all those who for Shlema and Chizzuk, Tiluv Kabas Masha. There's a long list of people who need healing. Hashem should give us koyach to do healing. And we're going to pause for a minute, the recording, and carry on soon. And we just got now Oh, so I wasn't in chapter 8. I was in chapter 8. I was in chapter 10. Excuse me. So this whole thing we just learned was in chapter 10. So let's just quickly, before we pause the recorder, let's just go back to this. So what was chapter 9 and 10 that we just skipped over? So it must be we did chapter 8. I'm just getting it now. So we said it's about the inner struggle according to the general summary of Shmuel Diamond. Over here, it says chapter 9 was Ir Katana. Oh, yes, so that's very important. We get to the point where we have Nefesh Shekud Nefesh Bahamis, Nechamim al Shlita Beguf HaOdem, Hamnum Shal Ir Katana, Shuni Lemalachim Nechamim Aliyah, V'Nefesh Alikus, Mishchona. Yeah, so there's a whole Muhammad. So I must have jumped ahead into a later chapter because of the whole Seder. Baruch Hashem. So the idea, the Nefesh Ir Katana, is that thing. So we're going to come back. We're going to come back. Shtei Madregas Tzaddick, Kasher Nefesh Alikus, Minisachis B'Korev, Kavush Esa Ir Katana, Nikra Tzaddick, V'zeh Shtei Madregas Tzaddick Gomer, Shevach Sarah. That's what we just learned about. Tzaddick She'ena Gomer, Shachniya Sarah, Avalo Hafchu Letov. That's enough Gemina, and that's what we're holding in Perek Aleph. So we'll go back to Perek Tes. We'll jump backwards a little bit. The idea of Ir Katana, Nefesh Alikus. And we'll get into that. And hopefully we'll get clarity as we finish off the summary after Mincha and Mariv. Thank you for listening. Okay, so we're going to go back into the inner struggle of chapter 9. We sort of jumped ahead of the big first part of this summary, weekly summary of Daily Tanya. So in Perek 9, chapter 9, Teisha. Hine mokum mishkan nefesh behemish eklips noga b'chol ish hu believe. So the animal soul, which is derived from klipa noga in every Jew, is in his heart. So we're going to explain basically that there's a city with two cities rather, and they'll battle with each other. This is the mashal we're going to bring. It's a famous concept. The two kings, one city. Exactly. That's the clarification that we have in ourselves a heart, a right side and a left side of the heart. We're going to see it, they're at war with each other. Let's just see what the summary is where we were before. Right. Jerome's appreciated Hebrew summary. Here we are in number 9. This concept of Ir Katana. Let's go. So a nefesh elikus, a nefesh, a behemius, chamim ala shlita beguf, ha'odem nimshal le'ir katana. Shnei malachim nechamim aliyah. They're trying to fight who's going to be the one to dominate the other. A nefesh elikus, mishchonas b'moyach, v'nefesh behemius b'leiv. So the concept that the nefesh behemius is in the heart, and the nefesh elikus, the godly soul, is in the mind. So you have the animal soul in the heart, the godly soul in the mind, and there's a presence of the godly soul obviously in the heart, and they're at war with each other. Smoli shumale dam, ki dam hu nefesh. L'chein kol Teves, Tefaros, Hakas, Adumen Hain believed. Everything, all the Dalit sodas we mentioned of the not good are by the left side of the heart. The lust, the anger, all these kind of things, passion. It's passion, and they spread out through the whole body, just like the blood spreads out through the whole body. This nefesh bahamis is spread out. So then comes up to the mind, and this is what we were saying before. We were saying that you're not a Rasha. Comes up to the mind, all these different thoughts. Remember, they're coming from the Yitzhak. It doesn't make you bad. It's a presence of negativity within you that you have to work on and elevate and fight. The blood has its sword in the heart, and it circulates everywhere, also rising into the brain and the head. So to these thoughts come. And he just says here, very straight, that the divine soul is in the mind, and it goes out to all the Ivarim as well. So there's a war going on between these two aspects. And the right side of the heart is where the divine element of the soul dwells as well, not just in the mind, but also in the right side of the heart. It's a Beferish pasuk in Kehelis that the heart of the wise man and that is on his right. That's the right side of the heart. Yahavas Hashem Karish Beish Lahavas. By the way, we're dedicating this to Mashbat Chai, for Shlema, should feel good and strong and know how tough good. Mislayev Belev and Miskalim, which flares up in the heart, discerning men who utilize their power of Chokhmah. Mevinim is bonanim, and who understand and reflect with their Fachti Abina, understand the matter and all its details and ramifications, Badasam Asher B'mocham, the knowledge of their brain. Divine Mo'urim et Hava. A matter arouses love for Hashem, Rachsham Simchas HaLevav, V'Teferes Hashem, V'Hada V'Goino, and the God's heart is absolute the beauty of God and the majesty of His glory. The wise man's eyes, which are in his head, remaining in the harmonies of understanding, so the intellectual gaze, the Tanya, the glory of the King, the beauty of His infallible, infinite, boundless greatness. Yeah. Okay. The point is that basically the mind and the heart is where all the good midas on the right side of the heart, and the mind, all the elikus, all the godly thoughts, all the discerning men are using that chokhmah being a das, bringing it down from the spark, a seminal spark, in building on it and developing it into das. So then it starts to influence the midas and developing a love and an ava and yira, a love for Hashem, and that slowly, that ava and yira causes a person to be able to slowly dominate over the negative side of the left side of the heart. And this is the war that's going on within each person. As we said, this is the inner struggle. Yeah. So, and the point is, by using the intellectual faculties, this is the derech of Chabad, to gaze intently at the glory of the King and how bountiful and infinite and boundless greatness. This is what gives the strength to now overcome the left side of the heart. And they originate from Chabad. So the whole derech, obviously, of Chabad is from that place. That's where the koyach of the neshama is coming, is from the Chabad. So the moshel of the two kings. So Shmuel Diamond brings a nice concept that we don't want to be the godly soul to be Rahman Islam in exile in the body. So the way you deal with it is you transform the body into a place for Hashem. So you have two kings. You have a good king and a bad king, the Yetzer Tov and the Yetzer Hara. And the whole idea of the Nefesh Elikus, by meditating and through Spononis together to Hashem, all the emotions get channeled, and he would genuinely have a distaste for this world and for the pleasure of this world. And this is to bring a person to the complete good. And the Yetzer Hara would be turned into Yetzer Tov Mamish. That's what we've been saying. That's the idea of the two kings, one city. And then the next parak we just did, this idea of the Tzaddick Gomer. Yeah? But this is a bit of a Kitzur version of this whole chapter, because it really, the understanding is, it's good to know that there's a Tzaddick Gomer who transforms the negative aspects inside of him. And this is something we have to understand as Tzaddick She'eino Gomer, Tzaddick V'Ra'lo, and there's a Tzaddick Gomer, Tzaddick V'Tovlo. We've been learning this throughout the Tanya, this concept of where everything's elevated, everything's good. It's Tzaddick Gomer, Tzaddick Tovlo. There's no negativity within that person at all. And he has zero love or tolerance for any klipa or anything external. These are the Bnei Aliyah people, and they're transforming the darkness into light and bitterness into sweet. So that's where we were basically holding at the end. And this in-between level, the Tzaddick She'eino Gomer, Tzaddick V'Ra'lo, is still a very high level for us normal human beings. But basically they're not able to transform it mamish, but they don't transform the bad completely. But they have a tiny vestige. It's bottled, as we said before, it's bottled 1/60th or 1,000th. It's a very tiny presence, and it has no ashpah at all. It becomes bottled, but it's still holding them back from coming the Tzaddick Gomer, where they elevate it completely. Anyway, so the whole, like for example, when we say B'chol Avavcha, we have to realize that is the concept of serving Hashem with both hearts. Both the Yetzer Tov and Yetzer Hara, that's the parish with Avram Avinu was brought down, was able to do that. By B'chol Avavcha, both hearts get elevated to serve Hashem. This is the way we have to be misgabel. L'tova adam misgabel l'tzachen v'moshel hazona b'zohar kodesh. So I said in parak 9, it brings the moshel, the zona, the harlot, and the king desired to test the more strength of his only son. So we're learning it this morning. We become a Ben. Aliyah was Gematria Ben. The most charming, clever woman brought before him. So we have this test of, the 2023, 24 Nisoyan, Happy New You of this woman who wants to test us to do Averas. And the whole point is just to test our true dedication to the king. And any imperfection on her part would be her not doing her mission fully to test us fully. She has to use every single koch. It's like the Eitzhara. So really deep down on the deepest level, the Klippa, the Eitzhara wants us to overcome it. The woman herself wants us to overcome it. The Zona, the Hala wants us to overcome it. So the whole point is really just to help us become closer to Hashem, transform. So the creation of the Eitzhara, this whole creation of this inner war, this inner struggle, is just for us to overcome it. So that was the marshal, the two kings, one city, and then the Tzaddick, he's overcome it, and they come to the generation just for our help, our need to be able to machazik us, to give us the strength, and that's where we get to the next parak of the Rasha. So I don't know if we're going to have time today to get to the point which we really all need to focus on, and that's what the Sefer is called, the Bnei. But the Rasha is really, unfortunately, most of us, and it's something we all have to do with. I think we're going to have to do this at a later point because I've got Marav in a moment. Just double check the time for Marav. Baruch Hashem, we have these amazing translations and summaries. So we see that it says here, Shnei Madregas Barasha, Im Nefesh Behemis, Amin Isachim, Bekir Bey, V'Gormitz La'adam L'choytei. So this Nefesh Behemis is successful and causes a person to sin. And Rasha, then he becomes a Rasha. So someone who still has a conscience, which is a machshama I wanted to get rid of, but that person who still has a conscience, that's the ability for us to still have regret. Then it makes us a Rasha she'enu gomo. However, someone who's not regretting at all, like Hitler machshama, that's a Rasha gomo. Okay, so we have another 5 minutes. So let's try to do this parak 11. In the next 5 minutes, and that will be our session on the Tanya today, a summary for the week. So we're going, let's go. So it says in Paradem's of Zer Rasha Tovlo, Luma Sadik Ralo, one is opposite the other, the Rasha knows good, is the Amsa Sadik knows evil. Then it's Shatob and Asha, the Kush, Mochim, Chalo, Yamini Belibo. This means the good that is in the Rash divine soul, which is in his brain and in the right part of his heart. The Klov, Batal, the Gabe Hara, Maklipa, Vachala, Smuli. So obviously everything is many levels, just like there's many types of people. Everyone has different levels. Everyone has to know themselves where they're holding. I mean, according to Tanya, once again, you would think that you're probably more by the level of the Rasha, because we unfortunately do sins. But nevertheless, we'll get into it when we get into the Bnei, and hopefully there'll be some hope for us. So the concept is an allocation of service to the good, to the evil, God forbid. So who's boss basically? Who's running this town? Who's the king of this town? Yeah, with the Tzaddik, he's the king. The Yetzer Tov is the king, and he's crowning Hashem over him and every part of his Yiddishkeit and his avoda. Whereas with the Rasha, it sounds like the Yetzer Hara is the king, and so the Tzaddik She'eno Gomer. He does an occasional light of error. He's thinking not good, like a little bit of yish, giving up a little bit, things are getting hard, speaks Lashon Hara, starts acting not good. So the Rasha Einagon will do more serious of the garment more often, but still experience the regret and make tshuva. The Rasha Gomer, he won't have any regret. So that's the avodah. So the point is you become a makava. We've learned about this in the positive side. You want to become a makava, chariot to the good, like Amavinu is a chariot to chesed. So if someone, God forbid, is now losing the battle in this small city, and the Yetzer Hara is taking over, and the blood is going throughout the body with bringing him negative thoughts, and starting to take over, and he's becoming a makava to not good things. It starts to affect his three clothings, as we said, thought, speech, and action. Oh no, this guy is really the Tzaddik Einagon. He's just doing a small thing, like we said before. he's speaking a little bit about Lashon Hara, because we know that most people are at some point are over one of these things. Yeah, he's contemplating sin in some way that's worse than the actual sin. And it does not actually contemplate, but he's just thinking about the carnal union between husband and wife, between male and female. That whole experience, that is something which men unfortunately think about potentially if they're not purifying themselves, or can think about a lot, and they're not busy with Torah, they can think about a lot. Nishmaras b'kol davar ra shelo yirah b'yom. And one must not harbor impure full fancy during the night, because it could cause them, God forbid, to actually do an action like spill seed, God forbid, or Khalaslan. And we're working on fixing that during this time of Shovavim. Or someone who's able to osa Torah and he gets busy with his phone, scrolling and doing shtiyot. Yeah, he awakens at night, studies Torah, instead he goes and gets caught up with a Netflix thing. And then the Yetzer Hara is ruling over him, and it's causing him to defile himself. And it's filled with remorse and transgression before signs. Seek pardon and forgiveness for his transgressions. You better do tshuva. Another type of Rasha who knows good and whom is even praised more strongly. So this is the guy now, the Rasha Gomo. He's a complete Rasha. Yeah, he's not even having any remorse. And so he's not able to vanquish the evil, because the Tzaddick, the Rasha ain't a Gomo, he can vanquish the evil maybe, because he's having charata. Charata is a powerful way, it's a part of the tshuva process. But someone who doesn't have any, and it's just, the Yetzer Hara is prevailing over him, God forbid. And he becomes a Rasha who knows only evil. For only the evilness has remained in him, having so provided the good, the latter has departed from him. His makif ala malamala, now the good is just around him. Yeah. Therefore, it said, when any of the 10 Jews, the Shekhinah comes. So even the Shekhinah's Torah, so that wow, what a Torah he brings at the end. We have to say this over, that when Am Yisrael together in a minyan, even if it's a Rasha Gomo, he's evil, once you have a Yid, he's standing in a minyan, there's still the Shekhinah around him. So it's not like he becomes mamish evil, the Gamre. Like there is still a presence of Shekhinah on this Jew when he's involved in a minyan or any kind of gathering of 10. Just shows you, very deep concept. And he brings a whole beautiful concept of whose animals are provided over his divine. So the following story bears mentions a certain Fabrengen once asked a Tzaddick, the word Yehudim is normally spelled in Esther with one Yud, and then later on it says Yadim, it gets another Yud. This represents 10 powers of possessed by a divine animal soul. Okay, we're going to dive in now. So I know Chizzuk to Tshuva Shlema. So I just want to add on, just summarize the 3 chapters we sort of went through on the Daily Tanya a bit out of order, and bring it to the central point, which I think all the Hasidus would agree, that once you're doing this general study of the Nefesh, Bahamas, Nefesh Elikus, understanding how the spiritual mapping of a human being, once again, the goal is to be the best you can be. Like my wife said a wise thing this Shabbos, we were talking about what's going to be when you get to Yom Adin, and after 120, they're going to ask you questions where you could be as eating b'toira, did you do your panasa with Amunah, v'chule, all the questions that's brought down in Chazal. Very important. But the real, most important question they're going to ask most of all, and probably before any other questions, is was Zusha, was Eli, was Rav Shneur Zalman Ladi, and of course he was. But the point is that we have to be the best you. And that's the Happy New You that we're working on right now during Shovavim. Not the Happy New Year, but the Happy New You. And that's my blessing to everyone. Be you. Just one more point to add on. I remember when I first sat and learned Tanya all those years ago in Edgware, which I'll be next week hopefully, in Lubavitch, in the Beit Chabad there, in the Chabad house, with Levi Sudak and Mendy Gorman, Oliver Shalom, and Havd Ben Chaim. The main thing that they said over when we learned Tanya was it helps us to do tshuva. Tshuva is the key. This is the time. Shovavim, Parsha Shmos. This is the time Moshe Bnei was chosen, the Tzaddick Gomer was chosen to take us out and do the chesed, for bring down the chesadim for Am Yisrael, to take us out of Mitzrayim. I mean, it was a difficult journey, but we are in that journey now. And the concept is, we're going to go out this war, we're going to go out of all our struggles. And the key to remind ourselves is that tshuva is just a small turn. It really is just turning around to face ourselves. Like Gedalia always says, face your stuff, not stuff your face. Face yourself. You don't have to go around the whole world to find yourself. You turn around, you do a 180 and face yourself, and you'll have all the tools, all the inner wisdom, all the guidance a person needs to be the best you can be. And with that being you, that will clarify. We'll get into it next time with the Bnei, but the most important point is to be you within all this. Always. Only good news. Summerized Teves. Well,